Welcome to the Reality Revolution. I'm your host, Brian Scott. Today, we're going to discuss how to make your master demonstration. This is a reading from a chapter from a book by Catherine Ponder called Prosperity Secrets of the Ages. This, in particular, focuses on wisdom from the Bible and Abraham specifically. The lesson is on receiving. Giving is half of the process of prosperity, but also learning how to receive is the key. Catherine Ponder was this amazing New Thought teacher. She was particularly good at affirmations, and her teaching and philosophy is very similar to Neville Goddard and Joseph Murphy. How to make your master demonstration. Receiving from Abraham. Another success secret known throughout the ages is that receiving can also make you rich. You must receive as well as give in order to be truly successful in life. Many people give and give with no true understanding that they need to be just as willing to receive in order to bring balance into their lives. You must learn to receive if you want riches. Giving is only one half of the success law. When you give regularly, you open the way to receive regularly in both expected and unexpected ways. But you must be ready to receive. Otherwise, you jam up the works and stop your good. I went through a period in my life where I gave in both tangible and intangible ways, but I did not receive as I should have. Then I began to think, what is the truth about this situation? What is wrong? The thought came, you are invoking only one half of the success law, that of giving. You must now open your mind to the other half of the success law, that of receiving. That was a new thought to me. I had heard often about giving as a success law, but had never been informed that receiving was the other half of that law. In fact, I had the impression that I was not supposed to expect to receive, that such expectation was selfish, that it wasn't nice to expect to receive, and so I had remained nice and in lack. What a relief it was to learn that I was supposed to receive graciously, as well as to give graciously. As I began to think about being a good receiver, it was as though I opened the gates of my mind and heart to infinite bounty. It seemed as if I had opened the long closed passages of my soul, allowing the cramped quarters of my inner being to expand and enlarge. As I affirmed daily, I am receiving. I am receiving now all the good God wants to give me. My good rushed to greet me from many directions. A success formula for receiving. If you are one of those people who has also believed it isn't nice to expect to receive, though you have given generously to life, then you can know this. All the giving you have done over the years has built up in the invisible a tremendous backlog of good for you to receive. That accumulated good has remained in the invisible simply because you have not expected to receive, and have not known how to open your mind to the idea of receiving in tangible ways. You can now begin to receive your rich dividends, which have accumulated from all your previous giving simply by saying daily to yourself, I am receiving. I am receiving all the good God wants to give me. I have been giving. I now balance that giving by being willing to receive all the good that has been accumulating for me. I have given richly and I am receiving richly now. Get ready for a master demonstration. Abraham not only knew how to give, he knew how to receive. As you read chapters 12 through 25 in the book of Genesis, you discover that the Lord was constantly making Abraham rich promises about all the blessings he planned to give him. In detail, Jehovah described to Abraham these tangible and intangible gifts he was to receive. That Abraham did receive all these gifts is clearly shown through the story of his life, and toward the end is written, Jehovah had blessed Abraham in all things. You will remember from a previous chapter that Abraham symbolizes faith and an exalted state of mind. Those same rich gifts, both tangible and intangible, that were promised Abraham are also your spiritual heritage as you reach an exalted state of mind and have faith in the goodness and bounty of God. In that state of mind, Jehovah is able to bless you in all things too. It is interesting, however, to note that Abraham's greatest desire was a long time in coming. As an old man, in spite of all the blessings that had been given him, he still did not have his heart's desire. He wanted a son, though it seemed an impossible dream due to his age. He could not understand why a son had not been given him, because this was one of the gifts Jehovah had promised him. Is there some special need in your life that has not been fulfilled? Is there some particular prayer that has not been answered? Is there some nagging desire for greater good that persists, that you have not been able to dismiss nor fulfill? Then, like Abraham, you are ready for a master demonstration. A master demonstration is a big result, a big prayer answered, a big dream come true. The miracles that have happened to you have been your master demonstrations in the past. A master demonstration always includes many smaller results that you are interested in obtaining too. Abraham got his miracle, and you can have yours. There is fascinating success symbology in how Abraham's miracle finally came about. There were certain success attitudes he and his wife had to use. Those same success attitudes are available to you. As you use them, you too can make your master demonstration. Attitudes that stop your good. You learn first from Abraham and Sarah what most people do when they have not made their master demonstration. At the age of 85, Abraham still longed for the son that had not been promised him. At this point, Abraham and Sarah decided that they should take matters in their own hands and to humanly try to force their demonstration. Sarah told Abraham to take her maid Hagar as his wife so that a son could be born. Sarah said bitterly, "Jehovah hath restrained me from bearing." Genesis 16:2. It was not unusual in those days for a man to have more than one wife. It is this same attitude that keeps us from making our master demonstrations too. Sarah was blaming God because she had not been able to have a child. The name Sarah in this passage of the Bible is spelled Sarai, S-A-R-A-I. That unusual spelling of the word symbolizes a negative mental attitude, for the word Sarai means bitter, contentious. She was clearly in a bitter, contentious state of mind. When you're not receiving the good that you feel you should have in life, it is because you're like Sarai. Perhaps without realizing it, you have gotten into a bitter, contentious state of mind, like Sarah, who said, "Jehovah hath restrained me from bearing." You have probably been saying, "It is not the Lord's will for me to have this blessing," or "God has kept this from me," or "God does not want me to have this." But remember this universal truth that has been known down through the ages. The desire for greater good in your heart is God trying to give you that good. If God did not want you to have it, you would not have the God-given desire for it. God is a Father of lavish abundance, whose will is a great good for his children, just as you wish great good for your children. Stop ignorantly blaming your failures, your ill health, your family problems, your financial difficulties, your disappointments, your lack of good results on God. You are God's beloved child. He wants you to have everything. When you stop blaming God for your failures, you clear the way for your ships to come in. You clear the way to become a good receiver. Bitterness causes barrenness. Jehovah had not restrained Sarah from bearing a child. Her own bitter attitudes had restrained her. Holistic medicine teaches the power that mental attitudes have upon the body. Many a woman has not had children because of her bitter attitudes. One such woman married while still in her teens. She and her husband later had a child, but that child died during the first year of its life. This woman then blamed God for her child's death. She became bitter toward God and said, "God took away my child. God has cursed me with barrenness." During the next 20 years, this woman and her husband longed for more children, but in spite of the best medical treatment, she had no children. Her physicians repeatedly told her there was no physical reason for her barrenness. The woman poured out her bitter story to a newfound friend, who replied, "God has not kept you from having children. Your own bitter attitudes have prevented it. What kind of mother would you make, as bitter as you are? Change your attitudes, and you can still have children. Begin to think of God as a loving father, not as a spiritual tyrant, and thank God every day for giving you children. You had a child once and you can have children again. Bless the soul that was given you early in your marriage, then release it to its good elsewhere, and you will make way for the children that can still be yours. Within a year, this woman, childless for 20 years, gave birth to a girl. The next year, she gave birth to a boy. They have grown into healthy, happy adults who have given her grandchildren. Along with holding bitter attitudes toward God, many people have not made their master demonstration because of their resentful attitudes towards others. In his book, The Sermon on the Mount, Dr. Emmett Fox has explained, if your prayers are not being answered, find out if there is not some old thing about which you are very resentful. Search and see if you're not really holding a grudge against some individual, or some body or people, nation, race, social class, some religious movement of which you disapprove, perhaps a political party. If so, then you have an act of forgiveness to perform. And when this is done, you will probably make your demonstration. If you cannot forgive at present, you will have to wait for your demonstration until you can. Fear and uncertainty bring wild results. Sarah, in her bitter state of mind, told Abraham to marry her maid Hagar. The word Hagar means fear and uncertainty. When you get into a bitter state of mind, Sarah, and join your faith, Abraham, to fear and uncertainty, Hagar, you will always get a dissatisfying result. A son named Ishmael was born to Abraham and Hagar, but he was not the child Jehovah had promised. Ishmael was rebellious, full of conflict and opposition. The Bible describes him as wild. When you are in a bitter state of mind and take fearful, uncertain action in trying to force your good, you also get a wild result. A result filled with conflict, opposition, and dissatisfaction. Then, like Abraham and Sarah, you have the dissatisfying result to cope with. You still have the original problem because you will not have made your master demonstration. Ishmael was born to Abraham and Hagar when Abraham was 86. Until Abraham was 99, nothing further happened toward his master demonstration. During this 13-year period, Abraham wondered about the child of promise which Jehovah had not given to him. This was also a period in which Abraham was forced to live with Ishmael, the wild, rebellious child that had come as a result of trying to force his good. Delay is a time of growth. Though Abraham had a long time to wait during those 13 years, that delay proved to be a part of the master demonstration that was to come. It was during that period of delay that Abraham and Sarah had a chance to change their attitudes. They realized they could not force their master demonstration, that they would have to rely upon God's help to bring it to pass. When your demonstration is delayed, it is because you are not yet ready for it. As soon as you have changed your thinking sufficiently and are ready to receive your demonstration, it will be ready for you and it will come. Nothing can stop it. Nothing has ever stopped it but your own wrong thinking. When you change, your world changes. How to circumcise fear and uncertainty. At the age of 99, Abraham was informed he could still have the child of promise, but that he would have to be circumcised. Circumcision symbolizes a cutting off of doubt, fear, uncertainty, bitterness. In success symbology, Jehovah was telling Abraham he could still have his son if he would cut off and discard all thoughts of doubt, fear, uncertainty, and bitterness from his mind. When Abraham told Sarah they could still have a child, she laughed. It seemed so incredible. The Lord reprimanded her by saying, "Is anything too hard for Jehovah?" Genesis 18:14. Here is the success formula for circumcising your mind. When doubt and fear try to say, "It can't be done, you can't have it, you'll never make your master demonstration, it's too late, you're too old, it's too good to be true, it's too wonderful to happen, it's too good to last," you should reply, "Is anything too hard for Jehovah?" Hold to that thought and it will cut off all doubt and fear from your mind. Demonstration comes in the fullness of time. Jehovah also answered Sarah when she laughed by saying, "At the set time I will return to thee, when the season cometh round, and Sarah shall have a son." Genesis 18:14. It is interesting to note that in this passage the spelling of Sarah's name was changed to Sarah, Sarah, which is the usual spelling. This shows that Sarah had returned to a normal state of mind. Her bitterness was gone. Your good can come to you when you enter into a normal state of mind. The Bible often speaks of the necessity for perfect timing. in order to bring all elements of good needed to a situation to make way for a master demonstration. The promise to Abraham and Sarah was, at the set time when the season cometh round, Sarah shall have a son. In human terms, you always want your good right now, but divine intelligence knows all the circumstances, situations, events, and personalities that are involved in your demonstration. It knows how to change and rearrange them so that at the perfect time your demonstration will come, so that it will be satisfying and right. A demonstration that is forced and made prematurely is like a baby that is born prematurely. It usually dies, or it requires great effort to remain alive. But a demonstration that is made in the fullness of time is right for everyone involved, and all details arrange themselves accordingly. When you are tempted to doubt whether you will ever get your heart's desires, you can cut off all doubt from your mind by saying to yourself, "Is anything too hard for Jehovah? My demonstration will come at the set time when the season cometh round. My demonstration will come at the right time in the right way. Jehovah is never too late. Jehovah is always on time with my good." Then keep picturing it mentally. The great secret of demonstration. Learn to think a thing through rather than trying to force it through. This is the great secret of making your master demonstration. You can have anything which you earn mentally. Your mind is your kingdom of accomplishment. You need not go outside your own thoughts to accomplish your desired good. All the good you can ever desire comes from your own conscious thinking. When you stop thinking that your good is apart or separate from you, when you start realizing that all things are at hand within your own thinking, then you realize that anything can be disposed of mentally, and that all things can be created mentally. When you realize that all things can be done within your mind, then you have the secret for making your master demonstration. You will stop trying to foolishly change other people or circumstances and events in the outer world to conform to what you want. Instead, you will get busy changing your own thinking. You will realize that no one can keep your good from you, and that no one else can give it to you until you have first claimed it mentally. You will realize that people and circumstances will change to conform to your master demonstration only after you have changed your own thinking. Everything you wish to do, every change you wish to bring about, all the good you desire is first created within your own thinking. You do not have to beg or argue or reason with anyone. Instead, go to work within your own thinking and deliberately choose that which you wish mentally. You thereby create your master demonstration. That was the lesson Abraham and Sarah had to learn. When they did, their demonstration came easily. In every instance in which I experienced a master demonstration in my life, I've always found, as did Abraham and Sarah, that it was delayed until I was ready for it mentally and emotionally. But just as soon as I was ready for it, having thought it through instead of trying to force it through, it appeared. Often I become impatient, awaiting master demonstrations only to discover after they were made that if they had come a moment sooner, I could not have maintained them because I would not have had the necessary understanding. How did Abraham and Sarah finally make their master demonstration? They didn't. When they were ready mentally and emotionally, Jehovah made it for them and through them. And Jehovah visited Sarah as he had said, and Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken. Genesis 21:1. When you think a thing through instead of trying to force it through, you cast the burden of demonstration upon the Lord, the law of mind action. Your good has been conceived on the mental and spiritual planes, and the results will come at the right time, in the right way. A television actress makes her demonstration. The amazing thing about a master demonstration is that when you think it through instead of trying to force it through, other people seem to tune in on your desire and get busy making your dream a reality for you. This happened to a young television actress. She was discovered when she sang on television quiz show where she made a big hit. Just as her sponsors were planning to push her singing career, the quiz show scandals erupted and this show was taken off the air, along with many others. Being a sensitive, talented person, this actress became discouraged by the unhappy turn of events. She dropped out of the show business for a while. Later, she went on the road playing in stock musicals and road companies of Broadway shows. Then she began getting calls every week from a well-known television show to appear as a stooge. Since she weighs 250 pounds, she was used on the show in blackouts whenever a fat person was needed to fall in a flour barrel or receive a pie in the face for laughs. Performing on a popular weekly television program revived her desire for that master demonstration, which was to sing instead of being a stooge on television, grateful though she was for that job. About this time, a friend of hers began reading my book, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity. She started thinking of this actress who she felt should be singing on television using her true talent. This friend devised a plan of action to bring this actress's singing ability to the attention of the television show on which she was appearing. She taped her friend singing some standard popular songs with a piano accompaniment in the background and put her songs on a long-playing record. She then took the jacket of a record album and reworked the face of it, pasting pictures of her friend involved in funny skits from shows on which she had appeared, along with a picture of the star of the show and titled it "Songs I Would Like to Sing on Your Show." She took this novelty album jacket and the recording of her friend singing to the producer of the show. He took one look at the jacket, laughed, put the record of her friend singing on his turntable, was impressed and said, "We've been low on ideas for the final show of the season. Maybe we should allow all the players a chance to do something on that last show in order to show their real talents." This friend then went home, telephoned the actress and said, "Your master demonstration is working. Let's just relax now and give thanks for it. We've done all we can to make it a reality." For a month, nothing happened. Then came a telephone call asking this actress to meet with the other members of the cast to plan the last show of the season in which they would all appear. At the meeting, they sang, they loved it, and told her she was to sing on the last show. Elated, she rushed out, bought a special dress and new shoes for the occasion. Then came the blow. The producer decided the show was running too long and told her that her song would be taken out, that she would not sing. In tears, this actress telephoned her friend the sad news. The friend replied, "Where's your faith? Is anything too hard for God? Let's just have faith that somehow it will still work out for you to sing. Let's just trust God, giving thanks that He makes this master demonstration for you. I shall come to the show's taping expecting you to sing." Thereafter, when the situation came to mind, each of these people prayed, "I give thanks for the perfect result now. Not my will, but thine be done." Next day at the dress rehearsal, just prior to taping the show, the star attended the final rehearsal. This was the first time she had appeared since the early planning of the show. About halfway through the rehearsal, he stopped everything and said, "When is our little 250-pound actress going to sing?" "Oh," replied the producer, "she had to be cut out because the show was too long." "What?" shouted the star of the show. "Leave out a gal with all that talent? Never. Put her back in and take out something else." Surprisingly, they decided to cut out one number by the star himself. Of his own volition, the star of the show stepped back to make way for this unknown actress to sing on his show, which is viewed by millions. This actress then sang the popular song, "All of Me, Why Not Take All of Me?" and ended by doing the twist. The results were sensational. Letters of appreciation immediately began flowing into this major network program. The producer of the show arranged for the finest theatrical agency in the country to represent this young actress, and she is signed to appear regularly on the show next season, where she will have her own singing spot. Record companies are competing for her services. She has asked the friend that pushed her into all of this to be her personal manager. Though several people aided in this master demonstration, isn't it interesting that when the crucial moment came, it was the star of the show who opened the way for this actress's singing? Master demonstrations often have a surprise element. Sometimes just before they come to pass, it will look as if the tide has turned and the demonstration is not coming at all. This is when your faith is being tested one last time. This is when you're to hold on to declaring, "Is anything too hard for Jehovah? My demonstration will come at the right time, in the right way. Jehovah is never too late. Jehovah is always on time with my good." Demonstrations bring surprises. When Abraham was 100 years old, the child so long promised was born. They appropriately named him Isaac, which means joy. Meanwhile, let us move on to see what happened after Abraham made his master demonstration, since it contains another success attitude for us. He realized after Isaac was born that something would have to be done about his first son, Ishmael, who was causing much strife in their home. Although Abraham's heart went out to this contentious, rebellious child in order to keep peace in the family, Abraham did what seemed a heartless thing. He sent Ishmael and his mother into the wilderness of Paran to live. But Jehovah promised, "As for Ishmael, behold, I have blessed him. Let it not be grievous in thy sight. I will make him a great nation. He will become the father of 12 princes." Genesis 17:20. The word Paran means region of searching, place of much digging. When people or situations are like Ishmael, filled with contention and conflict, they need those periods of searching, even digging, to find themselves. Always the higher power is with them in their wilderness experiences, blessing and caring for them. As they find freedom from inner conflicts, they then go forth to a happier life, as did Ishmael. Do not feel sorry for Ishmael. He needed to be released and allowed a period of freedom and searching for his own emotional maturity. After he went through that period, he then happily married and became the father of 12 princes. Many parents needed to realize the necessity for emotionally releasing their Ishmael children who seemed so filled with rebellion and hostility. A housewife had struggled for years to help her rebellious daughter. Despite all the mother's efforts to rear her daughter in the right way, her daughter was forced to marry in order to give her child a name. At first, it seemed a heartbreaking experience for all concerned. Later, the mother said, "My daughter's husband and baby are teaching her things I tried for years to teach her. The discipline I tried unsuccessfully to give her is now being placed upon her by her husband and child. It is surprising that she now seems to be responding to it with adult understanding. Others are teaching her effortlessly what I tried hard to teach her in vain." Emerson has written, "There are always some leveling circumstances that put down the overbearing. This daughter's wilderness period of searching and digging is proving a great lesson in maturity. There are no mistakes." From Abraham's release of Ishmael, we learn another important success attitude. Abraham and Sarah had tried to force their good through forcing the birth of Ishmael, only to learn that they had apparently made a mistake. Now they were having to completely release that mistake by sending Ishmael and Hagar into the wilderness. From this release, great good came to everyone. Abraham and Sarah were free to rear their beloved Isaac in a harmonious, loving atmosphere free of conflict. Great good came also to Ishmael and Hagar, since Jehovah protected and provided for them in the wilderness. You can be sure they were glad to leave the household of Abraham and Sarah to be free emotionally to go their own way. The happy ending came when Ishmael eventually became the father of 12 princes. In spite of all the mistakes in the situation, everything worked out fine for everyone. To the apparent mistakes in your life, be sure to use this success attitude. Loosen those mistakes and let them go. And later you will see they were not mistakes. Good still came from them. To apparent mistakes, affirm, "No mistakes have been made. Only good shall come from this." This success attitude helps take the pain out of the experience and produce the good. God's good is everywhere, even in what seems to be mistakes. Abraham proved this, and you can too. Demonstrations require changes. We learn another powerful success secret from Abraham's release of Ishmael after the birth of his son, Isaac. When you make a master demonstration, you introduce new elements of good into your life. When something new comes into a situation, something old must be taken from it. When something is given, something is always taken too. Without constant elimination, there can be no real progress along the line. Emerson aptly describes this great success law in his essay on compensation. "Every sweet hath its sour, every evil its good. For everything you gain, you lose something. A perfect equity adjusts its balance in all parts of life." So when you make a master demonstration, get ready for surprises. You've received something. To balance that receiving, you will also have to give or release something. New wine does not flow easily into old wineskins. Your new good will not adjust itself to an old situation. You must be willing to let go whatever needs to go in order to make room for and maintain your new good. If you're not willing to let the old go as you accept the new will not remain. It will leave you. You have to go all the way with your new good in order to retain it. This is especially true when your new good includes people. As did Abraham's master demonstration, emotional bonds are more subtle and tenacious than physical ones. So many a man's ills are caused by his unwise binding of persons and things to him, along with his allowing persons and things to bind him to them. In new situations, he must loosen and let go old relationships and old conditions in order to make way for the new ones. If he does not, the new relationships do not endure. Many marriages suffer along needlessly because the husband and wife do not boldly rework old relationships with relatives and friends after marriage. They do not seem to realize the psychological as well as spiritual importance of the marriage vow, forsaking all others. Though it seems a strong vow, it is a very necessary one to take literally if a happy, enduring marriage relationship is to follow. The secret of keeping your demonstration. One final success secret you learned from Abraham about your master demonstration is this. After you make it, your faith is usually tested in maintaining it. But this only strengthens the demonstration, making it more secure, and so this testing is nothing to fear. However, you need to know about it so that you will recognize the testing when it comes and not be frightened by it. Abraham's faith was tested when Jehovah commanded him to take his beloved Isaac to the land of Moriah and there to offer him as a burnt offering. Though this would mean giving up his master demonstration, Abraham followed instructions and prepared his son for sacrifice. When he did, Jehovah informed Abraham he had only been testing him to see if he was willing to give up his son. Since he was willing, he would not have to do so. After you make your master demonstration, you have to be willing to give it up in order to keep it. If you clutch it in fear, you may lose it. Only that which you are willing to release can you retain. Instead of having to sacrifice his son, Abraham sacrificed a ram that had been caught in a nearby thicket. This ram symbolizes your unredeemed thoughts of fear, doubt, criticism that get caught in the thicket of your mind. After making your master demonstration, you must constantly sacrifice your ram thoughts. As you do, you are in an uplifted state of mind, and you're able to keep your desired good. Often the most anxious time for you is when you are working and praying to make your master demonstration. But the most important time is afterwards, when you have realized your desired result. You must remain in the same uplifted frame of mind following your demonstration as you were in prior to the demonstration in order to keep your good. A person beset by difficulties will often apply himself with great zeal to solving his problems mentally, but that is only the beginning. If he gets too sure of himself and becomes mentally lax afterwards, his demonstration does not last. A career woman loses demonstration. A career woman zealously worked mentally and spiritually to make her master demonstration, which she felt would be to marry the right man. After beginning to work mentally on her master demonstration, she met the man in her excitement to please and impress him. However, she stopped taking time for her daily periods of affirmation and spiritual study as she spent every spare minute with him. She felt so assured that her master demonstration was working that she foolishly spoke of it to all of her friends, telling them she planned to get married very soon. For a number of weeks, it looked as though she would marry, but suddenly the man she hoped to marry changed his mind and left town. No marriage ever took place, though it had seemed so certain. The woman had not followed the same spiritual and mental standards to consummate this desired demonstration that she had followed to initiate it, and so it had no basis upon which to build a firm result. This often happens when people receive a spiritual healing. They work diligently both spiritually and mentally to realize that healing, but when it comes, they let down, returning to the same negative state of mind that brought on the healing and need in the first place. So their healing fades away and the old diseased condition returns. Abraham worked steadily over a long period to change his thinking so that he could have Isaac, and he realized afterwards that he would have to remain in an uplifted state of mind if he was to keep his son. If a person of strong faith such as Abraham had to follow this success principle carefully, you and I can hardly expect to do less. if we wish to maintain our demonstrations. Permanent success. Abraham concluded his testing experience in marvelous ways. He named the place of testing Jehovah Jireh, which is the sacred Hebrew term for prosperity and success, Genesis 22:14. It literally means the Lord now richly provides regardless of opposing circumstances. As Abraham pointed out, it also means in the mount of Jehovah it shall be provided. Abraham was simply saying that Jehovah had provided him with his master demonstration that success had come, and he was affirming that God would help him to maintain it. Always, it is in that mount of Jehovah, in an uplifted state of mind, that your good is first provided and then maintained. When your master demonstration is being tested, you will find it all powerful to take a cue from Abraham and sacrifice your fearful ram thoughts by decreeing the sacred Hebrew term for success, Jehovah Jireh. The Lord now richly provides regardless of circumstances. You will find it helpful for getting into an uplifted, confident state of mind to affirm the further words of Abraham, in the mount of Jehovah it shall be provided. Meaning, in an uplifted, confident state of mind, my good is now provided, protected, and maintained. After Abraham met his testing period in this victorious frame of mind, his demonstration was permanently assured. He and Isaac had many happy years together. As you follow through on his success attitude, your demonstrations will be assured too. Your testing period will be over, and you will have been strengthened in maintaining your master demonstration. Your efforts can then be crowned with success. This is just an amazing chapter. I enjoyed reading it so much. Catherine Ponder is discussing several important principles and attitudes that we don't talk enough about in achieving success and making your master demonstration in your life. In this is the keys to creating a reality and maintaining the reality that you want to create. So she's telling us first that receiving is just as important as giving in the process of achieving success. You must be open to receiving the good that God wants to give you. She's emphasizing that bitter attitudes and resentment towards God or others can block your good from manifesting. Forgiveness is necessary to clear the way for demonstrations. And she explains that trying to force a demonstration out of fear and uncertainty leads to unsatisfactory results. Instead, you should think a thing through mentally and emotionally, relying on God's help to bring it to pass in the fullness of time. Master demonstrations often involve an element of surprise and may seem to be delayed until one is truly ready to receive on all levels. Patience and faith are required. As I was reading that, I reflected on my own life, and there were many times that my manifestations or demonstrations didn't come through because I genuinely was not ready. For the love in my life, for the success in my life, I wasn't ready for them, and they came to me when I was ready. And after a demonstration is made, that's not when you stop. You must release the old circumstances, relationships, or attitudes that no longer serve in order to make room for the new good. And your faith is often tested after a demonstration is made. By remaining in an uplifted state of mind and sacrificing fearful thoughts, the demonstration can be permanently maintained, as the story of the woman who meets the man that she wants but then loses him. She also emphasizes decreeing Jehovah Jireh, or the Lord now richly provides, to keep yourself in a confident state of mind necessary to first manifest and then maintain a master demonstration. There's so many bits of wisdom that you can pull from this single chapter. I would recommend going back and listening to it again. If you are trying to experience a master demonstration in your life, you will encounter everything that she says, and if you understand these little hints and secrets, it will come to pass. You can find all episodes of The Reality Revolution at therealityrevolution.com. And welcome to The Reality Revolution.